On 9 o'clock. I would like to thank you for joining us on this early Friday morning, particularly in the middle of our annual reports. I know that this is quite a busy season, so we aim to keep this meeting quite short and sweet. Essentially, we're just focusing on some house matters today that we would really like to conclude before we get into the thick of our annual reports. With that being said, I'd now like to give members an opportunity to briefly introduce themselves. We'll then briefly go over house rules and move on to our first agenda item.
Hi, good morning, Chair. Chair, Member Branques here. Good morning and good morning to everybody.
Good morning, member.
Good morning, Chair. Enriquez van der Westhuizen, member of the committee.
Good morning, member.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Good morning to the officials. Good morning to everyone. I'm Bulelo Isaac Sileku, member of the committee. Good morning once again.
Good morning, member. I see no further members online, and so sorry, I see I'm muted. I see no further members are online, and so I'll just proceed with the house rules for today. So just a general note that we usually do. If members can please keep themselves muted unless called upon to speak, and keep their video off unless speaking as well. If there are any points of order, you can flag the points of order using the chat function on Microsoft Teams. And you can also raise your hand should you wish to speak or contribute to a matter. With that, members, I would now like to move on to our discussion on the way forward for the African Growth and Opportunities Act. This is the first major area or agenda item that I'd like us to discuss today. As members would be aware, we have engaged on multiple occasions with the Office of Minister Patel and DTIC to brief the committee on the way forward on AGOA. And this essentially led us to the decision or the understanding that we would join Minister Patel's NCOP briefing, which resulted in a national joint meeting on September the 26th. I'd like to remind the members that the meeting on the 26th was cut short due to a clash with the debate or the plenary at the time, and that legislatures were not informed, particularly our legislature, was not informed of this prior to the meeting. In fact, we'd even written to the NCOP to confirm that our meeting time would remain the same, and we were informed that it would remain unchanged. But this was not the case when we joined the meeting that morning. I'd also just like to state again that the NCOP Select Committee has already confirmed to our committee that they were satisfied with the briefing, and so they will not be holding another meeting on AGOA. This for me is concerning, given that the Minister had committed to me telephonically to briefing the committee following the AGOA summit. So there's no clarity on how this process or update will be provided, if not through the NCOP channel. Further, I'd like to inform members that the Minister and DTIC were invited to attend our committee on the 13th of October, where members would be able to ask the questions that they weren't able to ask during the NCOP sitting that was cut short on the 26th of September, and also so that members could ask those additional questions that they couldn't. But the Minister and DTIC did not respond to this invitation. Members, we have compiled a timeline of events, and this essentially will serve as a record of communication that has taken place. But just for your understanding, we have been communicating with the office since May. There have been over 30 documented communications with the office, including invitations, reminders, responses, rescheduling efforts between the committee and the department, and yet we still haven't gotten the clarity we needed. So members, with that, I would like to put it to you and ask, what would you feel comfortable with in terms of the way forward? We have, I believe, exhausted every single reasonable avenue that we can in order to get answers that we need so that we can account for our constituents here in the Western Cape on this issue of AGOA, which is going to have a significant impact on jobs, should we not be included or should provisions even change. So with that, members, I'm going to open the floor and see what your thoughts are on this matter. I recognize Member van der Westhuizen.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for that summary. Chair, I think I need to put on record that the abrupt end to the NCOP meeting was very unfortunate, particularly as I think at that stage you already indicated to the Chair that we wanted to ask some more questions of the Minister on AGOA, and in the presentation that the Minister made, I think it was very clear that AGOA is of extreme importance to South Africa, but particularly also to some of our neighboring countries that form an economic bloc with ourselves. But then if we drill down to the Western Cape, it is extremely important to the Western Cape, and that was admitted or stated in the Minister's presentation, but also in the meetings that we have had as a committee with the citrus growers and other stakeholders. So, seeing the importance of this, I must say it does not bode well if correspondence from yourself is not even acknowledged or responded to. It seems to me that the invitation to continue with the briefing and to continue responding to questions from this committee is being evaded, as if really we're not entitled to that kind of information, which I think is of extreme concern to myself. Perhaps, Chair, if you could just give us an indication of when that invitation to join us this morning in this meeting was sent, and how was it sent to the Minister's office? Was it to the same address that they previously responded to, etc.? Just so that we have clarity in our minds as to whether this was can I call it a fair request, or the means of communication, if that went through established communication channels. But for me, it's a very serious issue. As we're trying to grow jobs in the Western Cape, and particularly with my hat as chairperson of the Agriculture Standing Committee, we do know how much AGOA means to our rural economy and job creation for some of our most marginalized members in the province. So if you could just give us an indication as to how and when that invitation was sent, please.
Yes, thank you. If you don't mind, Ms. Adams, if I can hand that question to you.
And thank you, Chairperson. The invitation was sent on the 30th of September, and it was sent directly to the Minister's office, the same place we usually send all the letters.
Thank you very
Chair,
much.
did I hear correctly? The 15th of September. That's a month ago.
No, the 30th. Sorry.
30th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize Member Nkontlo.
Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. Firstly, Chairperson, I would like to register that it is so unfortunate that during the annual report period, we are called into a meeting because some of us who are coming from opposition parties do not have the luxury of numbers to be in all the other meetings that we need to attend. And we know this morning there is a meeting on the portfolio committee, and in the afternoon there is a SCOPA. So I would like for you, Chair, to consider when you are convening meetings, especially during the annual report process, that we minimize meetings of our own committees, because some of us, we need to actually go and support our other members in the other committees as we also are sitting in the SCOPA so that we get a better insight of the issues. So I want to register that particular point as something that I would seek your consideration into the future so that you are able to attend to this. The second point, Chair, is that I'm really interested in this particular conversation. What exactly, as the chairperson of this committee and any other members, because when we were in that joint NCOP discussion, we were allowed to ask our questions. So do you specifically have got questions that were not answered or you wanted to ask? And have you been not given an opportunity, as we would do here in the province, that when time does not allow, that members can actually write their questions so that they submit those questions for those for responses on those questions? Have you tried that particular avenue, or any other member in this particular committee that is still having questions? What exactly is this issue that we are having a gripe on? I'm really interested to understand, because a presentation was made. It explains where is the standing of this matter. There is a summit on AGOA in next month, which is hosted in South Africa. There is an indication and a commitment that AGOA, which includes, the issues of citrus and other industries that are being engaged, including a commitment by the minister to engage the same group of the citrus growers that we had met. So what exactly are these issues that you believe were not attended to, so that we know what exactly is this meeting that we had to be dragged out of the annual report process? What is this issue that we are seemingly so stressed about? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Nkondlo. I think to your first point, I do understand the immense pressure that all members are under at the moment with regards to annual reports, and also with SCOPA. I appreciate that you have taken the time to speak with us, and we'll try and keep it as short as possible. And of course, it's definitely a consideration that I'd like us to keep in mind in future for scheduling. I'll definitely undertake to do that. On your question on what we specifically want to answer, Member Nkondlo, this is an issue of jobs. So when we have engaged the minister previously, on numerous occasions, we have asked what are the job implications in the Western Cape, because it's our concurrent power or competent legislation. Apologies, it's an early Friday morning. As a part of our competence as a legislature, we focus on trade. But also we have a duty to our constituencies to talk to them about jobs and how those will be impacted in the Western Cape. Should AGOA not be renewed, or should there be any changes to the provisions? Now, in the NCOP sitting that took place, the question that I did ask was around job numbers and how that would be affected. Looking back at the NCOP briefing, there was no mention on the number of jobs that would be impacted. On previous occasions, I'd even sent those job numbers to the minister, where it seemed to dispute the number of jobs that would be lost in the Western Cape, particularly in the agricultural sector. From my side, I would like crystal clear clarity on the number of jobs that will be affected by AGOA and the efforts to protect those jobs. And that has not been forthcoming. That is fundamentally the reason why I would like to engage with the minister. But thinking more broadly and beyond that, we know that we need to be forward thinking. There are threats that South Africa may have to graduate from AGOA, and there are a number of reasons for that. Increased protectionism in the US market, possibly seeming concerns around our foreign policy, and also the argument that South Africa is a middle income country. So we need to think about how are we positioning South Africa, how are we positioning the Western Cape globally to make sure that we are not left behind when it comes to trade with our biggest trade partner in the world, which is the US. And those are fundamentally the concerns that I still have and that have not yet been addressed. I do hope that answers the question. I'll now hand over to Member Seleko and then Member Nkondlo. I'll come back to you after that.
Good morning once again, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Chair, it's very unfortunate that we will have to be sitting with this matter once more due to the fact that a commitment was made by the minister to come and address us. And subsequent to that, he is not coming again. And Chair, so that everybody is on the same page, I would really love the guidance from the PO, just to give us in terms of the happenings, from the first time, when did we initially engage with the minister, asking for his, indulgence to come and brief us as a committee about the issue of AGOA. And because remember, Chair, within the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, AGOA is very much important to us. Subsequent to that, we have also had a debate about the implications of AGOA, and that shows the importance of AGOA on itself. And also, Chair, I think what is important is that we have, within our own, scope as members of this particular committee, have made, compromises, at the stage, to even go to the NCOP and say, since we are going to be having a briefing as a minister, we are going to go there, hoping that we are going to be given enough time to address all the issues that is of concern for the residents of the Western Cape. So it's very disappointing, Chair, to hear that when you went to that meeting, you were not able to ask all the questions that you wanted to ask so that you can be of value to the residents of the Western Cape. So Chair, I just want the procedural officer just to tell us, just give us a briefing in terms of the history, and who up to now, and what is the next step, for us as the members of this particular committee when ministers don't come, having committed not even once, for more than once, but do not keep to their commitment. What is it, that we as a members of as a particular legislature we can do to make sure that the minister comes? I would just need that advice from the PO, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think I do have to protect the procedural officer to some extent. Perhaps we can allow her to speak to the timeline, but in terms of the steps and the way forward, I think that should rather come from the committee. Ms. Adams, if you don't mind.
Okay. So in terms of the timeline, the chairperson has mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that we had multiple, interactions with the minister in his office. It started in May already, May of this year. The 24th of May was the first time we sent it to Minister Patel, but we also interacted with other national departments prior to that, just to find out where we should go to. In terms of who could do the AGOA briefing for us. But in any case, it started on the 24th of May. We had correspondence with them through May, 29th of May, 30th of May, 31st of May, into June. There were responses on a lot of the invitations to brief the committee as well. Sorry, Chair, if I can just take a second.
It's no problem. I'm actually, if you don't mind, I'll step in for you here, and I'll just summarize this briefly. So essentially, we first began reaching out to the minister as far back as 9 May. 3 reminders and an amendment was sent by the 24th of May. An additional invite to the minister was sent on the 24th of May. 2 reminders by the 29th of May. There was communication with DIRCO, including their declined participation by the 30th of May. 3 reminders by the 7th of June 2023, confirmation of non-participation by the minister on the 7th of June. There were then discussions with the Select Committee on Trade and Industry regarding scheduling a joint committee on AGOA throughout June. This then included 5 reminders and requests to the Ministry and DTIC between 15 June and 11 July. 3 reminders and communications by 21 July, and further communications about the delays and importance of AGOA in late July and early August. From there, the confirmed meeting of the NCOP on AGOA was done by the 26th of September, and communication was scheduled prior to the NCOP sitting about potential clashes before the 26th. The committee then attended the joint AGOA meeting on the 26th and was followed by a letter and invitation after the joint committee on the 30th of September. A reminder email also went out on the 6th of October 2023. This means that there have been over 30 documented communications, including invitations, reminders, responses, and rescheduling efforts between the committee and the ministry, as well as the department. I realized that Member Nkontlo, part of her question was related to whether we had maybe given the minister an opportunity to answer our questions, and just reviewing the previous letter that was sent to the minister. Part of that letter included a section that asked for additional information to be presented that was not presented on the 26th. The minister, apologies, I'm getting ahead of myself. In our letter to the ministry, we had directly sent a letter to the minister saying that we would like additional information to be presented on the 26th of September, and that the committee would also like the minister to address the following questions on the 13th of October. These included the impact of jobs in different sectors and industries in the Western Cape and the US, if AGOA were not to be renewed or if we were to graduate, what the trade situation currently looks like in the US, how South Africa can improve trade relations with the US, and how we can expand utilizing AGOA, and what national government is doing in terms of bilateral trade with the US in case AGOA is not renewed, or in the case that South Africa graduates from AGOA. I'm not sure, Ms. Adams, if I've missed anything and you'd like to come in on that.
No, Chair, I think you covered everything.
Okay, thank you. I recognize Member Nkontlo.
Chairperson, thank you very much. At this point, I'm interested indeed to know that is the question that we're sitting with and having a special meeting on, the fact that you as the chairperson, and maybe I don't know which other members of this committee have got questions that have not been answered, that you feel strongly that you need answers on. Or the question is minister coming to the committee. I sincerely need a clarity on that, because my take is understanding exactly what you have raised about our interest and the issue of promoting jobs, which does not start in any way today, and the fact that industries at different points based on industry dynamics would be shedding jobs. As we speak to date, in the agri sector, jobs are being shed in the agri sector. If you can go and ask from the Department of Labor, you will find as we speak, because of the nature of that particular industry, that jobs are being shed. And I do not hear this particular committee going out of its way, calling the industry, asking for information about potential jobs that are going to be shed, what the industry is going to do, what government is doing, around that. So I'm saying if the intention is about securing information that gives you definitive answers about whether these jobs are going to be shed, because there was an indication made by the minister in the meeting that there is a summit, that there is a SADC engagement and also an Africa engagement in saving AGOA. The commitment to save AGOA, it is there clearly in the presentation of the minister, with even explaining the additional issues that are going to be put as part of the industrialization program of the continent that is going to be put onto the table with the US. If you are asking about any bilateral engagements, that minister has indicated that those are taking place. And again, when they are meeting with the US representative in November, this matter together now with the potential of markets in the continent that can actually benefit even bigger a market share for AGOA are going to be put on the table, which therefore demonstrate a possibility of in the discussion, because that once again is not reliant on South Africa, it's reliant once again on the United States. So I'm trying to understand what exactly is the issue, Chairperson. Is the issue that your particular questions, because as a member of this committee myself, I'm satisfied with the answers that we received. Also, another issue I want to place in the committee, in the current governance of the South African system, we are a legislature. And as a legislature, we've got members that we, through our parties, are in the NCOP. So that when we have issues that we are not satisfied with, we get those members to raise our issues. We also have got members in the National Assembly. So I'm trying to understand, are we saying that our National Assembly members or discussions on the matter, our National Council of Provinces on the same matters are not sufficient? We believe that as the legislature, we must then be satisfied with the minister coming to us. Because on a serious note, Chairperson, at this particular point, I'm really struggling to understand what is this issue that is stressing you particularly around this particular matter of AGOA. And if indeed these questions that you have raised and the minister has not asked, can't you send those particular questions to your NCOP members or to the National Assembly so that you get the answers? Because the reality of the matter, it's in the nature of our democracy. We sit in meetings that you have chaired yourself. Not all of our questions, we are told that if you've got questions that could not be answered, because it doesn't mean each and every engagement, you would actually have the long list as we are now sitting with the annual report process. We don't get to have all the questions that we have answered, all of them. You ask the question, a person will respond or a minister will respond, and it might not respond in the manner in which you are satisfied with. You are either referred to another process of a written reply or any other processes. So at least can we then conclude on this matter, Chair, so that we are allowed, especially us who are in parties that do not have the luxury of having members in all of these committees, so that we go and support our members. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Member Nkotla. I appreciate you asking that question because it boils down to the why. Why do we care? Why is this serious? Why does it matter to our constituents? I think I'd like to just start off by focusing on your first question is, why are we doing this? Is it because we want more clarity on jobs, or is it simply for the sake of having the minister at our briefing? And it's the former. We need clarity on jobs. Essentially, what this boils down to is a conservative estimate, and in our initial engagement on AGOA, where we had DDAT and Agri come to our standing committee, what we were told is that at a very conservative estimate, we could see that 140,000 jobs were on the line when it came to AGOA, and those were direct agricultural related jobs. That doesn't relate to all the indirect supply chain that is affected by this process, particularly as we met with MASK and MSC later down the line, who are not directly affected by AGOA, but who have a massive stake in terms of whether it goes ahead or not. There are so many spillover consequences of this, particularly in terms of job creation, but in terms of the broader industries such as citrus, such as automotive, such as jewelry and metals, that will be affected. And we don't have those numbers. They have not been forthcoming. We have utilized every single lever that we possibly can with the Minister's office to get those answers on the number of jobs that are going to be affected, to really understand how the industry could be affected. And they have not been forthcoming. There's really been no shortage of this. We have approached the NCOP, for example, and it was agreed prior to the time that that sitting would take place from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock. We found out through the Vine and not through the Select Committee that there may be a scheduling clash with the plenary as well as with our committee, which we had to really not work behind the scenes, but really engage with the Select Committee to make sure all of our committee members could be there. And then because plenary had been scheduled at the same time, not all of our members could be there. Member Select, for example, had to step out and represent me in plenary. They also didn't inform us and changed this at the very last minute at the beginning of the NCOP meeting, that the meeting would be cut short from 8 until 12 to 8 until 10. So that prejudiced our opportunity to actually have this engagement, which we had gone out of our way to make sure would happen so that we could satisfy all of the questions that we had, and we weren't able to, particularly on those questions relating to jobs and how it's going to affect the Western Cape, how it's going to affect the value chain, whether there is actual succinct knowledge and understanding of what is going to be the economic downturn from this. I think I would also just like to say that on the AGOA summit itself, before the minister goes into there, what would be incredibly helpful and incredibly reassuring to know is that he has looked at the impact that this is going to have on the Western Cape and on our industries. And that information it's not come out yet. And the concern is that when he goes to the negotiating table in November, that the information that he needs in order to argue on our behalf is not going to be there. That the focus may be on other provinces or other industries that may take more preference over the Western Cape and over agriculture. And with over 140,000 jobs on the line directly related to AGOA, I don't think that that's something that we can risk. I really, it would be unconscionable to let this one go, so to speak. But Member Nkundla, I do hear you, and I would like to ask if you do have any other industries or any other areas that you are concerned of in terms of job losses. If you could maybe bring that to our attention, and then that's something as a committee that we can look at and engage on. We are a team at the end of the day, and so would appreciate if you could share that as well. Members, I know that was a bit of a mouthful. I recognize Member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you, Chair. I completely accept what you said in terms of the importance of getting those answers. My question is just what more can we do to get those answers? I think we initially took the advice to work via the NCOP. There was clearly in the way in which that meeting was abruptly ended while you were raising your hand and indicated that you wanted to ask some more questions. That clearly, didn't work as a possible avenue for us to be able to get the necessary answers. So my question now is, what options remain for us as a committee? Did you take some advice in this regard? Because it seems to me it's getting more and more urgent the closer we do get to this summit. And I don't think I need to reiterate that we have had or heard some negative voices as well in terms of South Africa, specifically our position in a possible future AGOA. Due to a number of reasons and concerns expressed, especially on the side of the USA and their public representatives. So perhaps if you could just indicate to us what are our options now.
Okay. Thank you, Member van der Westhuizen. Yes, I have requested legal advice on this matter. And before speaking to it, I would just like to say that the feedback given to me was not feedback that was given lightly. It was following a truly robust effort to engage with the Minister's office and to get the answers that we needed. I think there has been no shortage of effort from our side to rationally engage and to get the answers without taking any measures or steps that could undermine our relationship, undermine our working, our cordiality in the working environment. But unfortunately, the answers have not been forthcoming. We've gone as far as making calls, on arranging the NCOP briefing. On numerous times we've invited the Minister, and as you know, it's not been forthcoming. So the advice that's been given on that basis was to summons the Minister. And it was not advice that was given lightly, but that was the legal advice that I was given. I recognize Member Seleko.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, unfortunately, I was not part of the meeting in the NCOP due to other commitments. But Chair, what I would like to get an indication of, Chair, is specifically the commitment for the Minister to come and attend on this particular date. who chose the date, and was there an agreement between the minister and you as a chairperson on this particular date, and also if there was, and what has subsequent happened for the minister, not to be able to attend to this, to a date which he had committed to prior, to us scheduling this particular meeting on this particular Friday, looking also in terms of what Member Nkondlo has been saying in terms of we are very busy, but because of the importance, of this particular issue, you had to go to the parliamentary committee, or parliamentary program so that you can be given an opportunity to meet the minister, as he has indicated that today he will be available. So Chair, because on your side, when one looks at it, is that you have actually done something, to accommodate the minister, but seemingly the minister, commits and then he gets out of it. But we just, need you to just inform us in terms of, what has, how did you come to this particular date and what has been the reason for the minister not, to move away and not attend on this particular, commitment that you two have committed to. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seleko. Mr. Seleko, just to clarify, the minister did not initially agree to join this date. What had taken place was after the select committee had adjourned, I had tried to express a point of order prior, but I wasn't recognized. And then at the end of it, once it was adjourned, I expressed that I was not happy with the way that it was conducted, that I had a point of order and it was not recognized, and that I would express my concern to the minister and to the select committee chair. We then wrote to the select committee chair and minister to express our concern about the way in which the NCOP briefing was conducted, and then again offered to invite the minister back to the select committee on a certain date. And we included in that the information that was still outstanding from our side. To secure that date, I noted, of course, the difficulties with the annual report and how the program has become so constrained at this time. And so I did have to engage with the chief whip and programming to see if there was an appropriate slot. But what was most important to me, so that the minister was not prejudiced, is that there was a 2-week lead for him to respond. So there was sufficient time for his team to look at the diary and to make the appropriate plans for him to attend. But even with that 2-week lead, there still wasn't even a response to our email, not even an acknowledgement or a yes, we can attend, or no, we can't attend. What I got instead was a message from the minister's office requesting a call. And we had a call earlier this week to outline some of those issues. I shared the issues in terms of the NCOP and the clash there, the need for clarity on jobs, and the need for clarity on whether the minister will also engage us following the AGOA summit. I have not received that information to date, noting that the minister is currently in Namibia. I hope that answers your question, member. I recognize Member Nkondlo.
Chairperson, I think at some point we'll have to conclude this meeting, because it seems this meeting is really about the fact that the meeting was concluded abruptly and you could not get your questions answered. And post that, you have even written, as you are giving the report now, you have even taken, because there was no meeting, this is the only meeting that we've had, you've already written, raised your dissatisfaction on how the meeting was shortchanged according to you, and the fact that, you still need answers. Again, you are telling us, initially you said you wanted us to give you an indication of what are the options. And now you are telling us that you have already gone and sought a legal opinion, and you've received a legal opinion to summon the minister. You see, Chair, I think all of us are in politics. as we are in politics, there is no way that through the chairperson, the committee must then be abused in a manner that when the chairperson of the committee is not happy with a particular engagement, then the entire committee must be embroiled in such. Because I'm still trying to understand, one, the people that are actually also having this issue. The minister said he's going to engage those the industry. I'm not sure whether you have checked whether the minister has made that indication. Two, if these are the questions that you are asking and you have submitted and you have not received a response, does that require a subpoena? And three, there is an opinion once again, and please share the opinion that you said on our behalf, because you went and sought a legal opinion on our behalf, which you are saying you are given that you can subpoena, because there is also a legal opinion here that was given, I think 2 years ago, about this matter of subpoenaing ministers. And it's important that we juxtapose this, because I think this very combative intergovernmental relations that we are seeing when it comes to this provincial legislature and ministers on issues that this particular government from its party political stance is becoming a problem. Because indeed, I am not understanding. We've spent almost 40 minutes here and we are discussing, process this of a meeting that because those are the things that your office must do, assisted by the coordinator, to try and seek and get meetings. And I'm not sure to date that all of the meetings that you are struggling, when you are struggling, do you subpoena people when you are struggling to get meetings? I'm really appealing that if you believe, and as you had suggested, because member Andrikas asked, what is the way forward? And you say, at this point, you've got an opinion to subpoena. And whether that is exactly why this meeting was called is for you to present that you want to subpoena the minister, so that if that is the decision that you want to lead and testing that in the meeting, you ask us to give our opinions on the matter, and so that we close the matter, so that we can really, because we are supposed to prepare, some of us who are in Scopa, even for that particular time. And it's become unfortunate and unfair that we are subjected in a process where the chairperson either want to decide to subpoena the minister or not, and just want our consent if we agree or not. So I think put what you want to put onto the table, onto the meeting, and then we discuss and decide on it, and we close the matter so that we don't spend more time on this.
Member Nkondlo, I hear your concerns. I do take exception to the remark that I would be abusing any powers of the committee. Any engagement with legal was done as a mechanism to make sure that no inappropriate step was taken. This was not done in a written format, but as more of a conversation, just to make sure that no steps were taken that were out of the powers given to me in my committee, in my capacity as a chair. But I do hear your concerns in terms of time and making sure that we do not waste anybody's time during this very difficult period. You did ask whether the minister has yet engaged with industry. I can confirm I had been in touch with the minister's office, put them in contact with industry, and I followed up since with industry. They have had a meeting. There are some concerns that they still have following that, but that will be dealt with separately. I hear your proposal that we put it to a vote on what steps we would like to take forward. From my side, I would like to hear from the committee and not predetermine an outcome on what they feel is the best way going forward. With that, I recognize Member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you, Chair. Having listened to you and other members, it does seem to me as if we are left with no other choice. Should we want the minister to come and account and provide answers, to then go to that next step, which, as you've said, we don't take easily or lightly, but that we then go over to, it seems to be then summoning someone to come and appear in front of this committee at a date and time which I presume you will clear with the programming authorities of the Western Cape, so that we can call the minister to come and just respond to the serious questions that we have regarding AGOA, our country's position on AGOA, our commitment to AGOA, the effect that the non-renewal of this might have on the Western Cape. I personally would love to ask questions then about options for bilateral trade agreements and other related issues for which the minister is responsible should our attempt at renewing AGOA fail. So, Chair, the proposal then that I put to you and to the committee is that we consider going over to the next step, and that is to ask the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, because I believe that such a summons would go in the name of the Western Cape, to then to the minister to come and appear in front of our committee, and that will be done through the summoning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Like you say, it's not an easy decision to come to, but it is a proposal that you've put forward. I recognize Member Seleko.
Chair, if you allow me, before I second the proposal for Member Enriquez from the Westhuizen, I would just want to appreciate your proactive steps, Chair, as a chairperson of this committee, because it is indeed your prerogative as a chairperson of a committee, before you call a meeting, that you do your own research and you do your own homework. So if that means you need to speak to legal people so that you can be at ease in terms of how you conduct your meeting and be of assistance to other members of the committee, I think that one should be welcomed, Chair, because I don't recall you telling us what we need to do, because initially when you open the meeting is that you need to look at the way forward. And your last statement was that the members of the committee must be able to tell you whether I should suggest the way forward and how we should actually conclude this thing. Ongelukkig moet ons, eindelijk hierdie ding op die bed sit.
We don't have interpreters in the committee. We don't have interpreters, so don't speak another language that we're not going to understand.
Member Nkondlo, your point of order is noted, but I do need to protect the member while he's speaking. I'll recognize you thereafter. Member Seleko, please proceed.
Okay, so let me go back to English. Sorry, Member Nkondlo. Like I was saying, Chair, it is indeed your prerogative, and we need to put this matter to bed. This matter has been ongoing from May up to, we are in October now. Within a few months, then it will be the end of the year. So we need to get clarity on questions that we want from the minister. And then if the proposal by Member Enriquez is going to assist us in getting closure in this particular matter, I would 100% support that particular proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Seleko. I really appreciate you saying that, and that's my understanding as well, that it's better to come to such an engagement prepared and be able to inform the committee of the appropriate avenues that we could take. But as at the end of the day, I have put this to the committee, as you have noted, but thank you, and your seconding is noted. With that, I do recognize Member Nkondlo, but with the seconding, note that resolution has passed. Member Nkondlo?
Thank you, Chair. Whilst the seconding has passed, I am still a member of this committee and have got the right, even when the matter has been seconded. So I'm sure that your comment has got nothing to do with me making my input as a member of this committee. A multi-party committee that I would really suggest that, colleagues, you should not try and reduce this committee to be a partisan committee. First and foremost, Member Seleko, for me, it is incorrect that you would assume that the chairperson's powers, are chairperson of her own discretion. These powers are derived from the committee. That is why there is no chairperson outside of the committee. The committee must exist first and then a chairperson is derived from the committee. It's not the other way around. So the chairperson cannot have, some powers outside of the committee. So when a chairperson must go to inquire about any matter, including this and getting a legal opinion, it would have been because the committee has arrived at a point that whatever the matters of the committee that it was dealing with at a particular point in time required such a legal intervention. It is actually strange that the chairperson would have done that before she could even get members of this committee engaging her and telling her that actually this matter requires of a way forward, and that way forward would require even a legal opinion. So I want to state that categorically clear that it is not the other way around. So we should not abuse the democracy that we are having for partisan reasons. And from where I'm sitting, as a member of a multi-party committee of parliament, I am saying, and my view is that I do not support subpoenaing of the minister, because from where I'm sitting, the responses that the minister provided in that appropriate platform of the joint NCOP with the NA that were invited in, and the fact that the same matter is being the South African government through the Minister of Trade Relations, including the Minister of International Relations, have actually provided sufficient information that indeed this matter is being attended to. And that is why the November summit that is going to be taking place on its own is an indication that South Africa is not folding its arms and doing nothing about AGOA, or is sitting and actually just throwing a towel at AGOA. So I do not understand what is this presumptuous activity of this particular committee that it must subpoena the minister because we have not received information about the job implications, or the job numbers have not been accepted to. Actually, in terms of substance of the rationale why we are even calling for summoning the minister, I am still to be convinced, but that is my view, and I'm wanting that view to be recorded as a member of a multi-party committee. Thank you very much. And if we can be allowed to conclude the meeting so that we can go to the other responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. I do note your concerns regarding the proposal, and also your concerns regarding the appropriateness of me seeking legal advice. While I disagree with you on that front, I think, of course, we can record your point of view. Member, we do have two items. The first is on the way forward for the Consumer Affairs Tribunal interview and selection process. I hear that there is a concern for time, and I think that what we can do with this information is to send it via a round robin. And then if members can just acknowledge and share any concerns that they might have or any inputs that they might have on that way forward. Suffice to say, of course, we will be putting forward everybody's name on the committee for that interview process, but we just need a little bit more clarity from DDAT in terms of the specifics of that process. And once we receive it, of course, we'll send it on to the committee. And then the next item was the minutes. I think we can also do that in a round robin format. I note that Member van der Westhuizen indicated there was a concern with regards to one of the minutes. So perhaps Member van der Westhuizen, if you don't mind, just that I send that over to the procedural officer, that it be amended, and then we again round robin that email for everybody's approval in terms of the minutes. Members, is that in order?
100%. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. May I just, and I have sympathy with the Honourable Nkondlu. I think they're a caucus of 12, but 2 of those members have been asked to step aside, and the other 10 must now carry the burden of those as well for the last number of months, in one case more than a year. So I have a lot of sympathy with the member Nkondlu, and I also wish that matter would be able to be resolved soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Member van der Westhuizen. In the interest of time, then we'll conclude. Members, thank you for your time today. We understand that there's a lot of pressure at this period, and I wish you well throughout the rest of the annual reports. Thank you for the robust discussion today. It was not an easy discussion, and we didn't arrive at the conclusion in an easy manner either, but we have made a resolution in any case. So with that, members, I thank you and have a good weekend. Good luck with your annual reports.
Thank you, Chair. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you, members, colleagues.
Thank you.